And here we are. It's 2019, January 1, first day. And I am at one of my breakfast spots. I'm about to go off to a friend of mine's having a nice little New Year's Day brunch. But that's not going to be for an hour or two. So I felt like I wanted to have a little taste treat. And for all those who are making new resolutions, I'm going to lose some weight, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Well, bottom line is you have to have a strategy, so. And everybody's body is different, not one size fits all. So, go to, yourself, go inside, and meditation, as we have been practicing, focusing your breath on your, focusing your conscious mind on your breath, because that little squirrel in there that goes, what am I going to do? I'm going to pay my bills. What do I need to do? I've been doing this forever and I'm not getting anywhere. No, that is what the powers that shouldn't be want you to do, and they program us, the they. Who are they anyway, And it's not who you think it is. The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the politicians, the kings and queens. They're all just poster childs, it's all run on a pyramid. I mean, just go to Egypt, right? And there's that capstone, that very, very tippy top, right? You don't know who those guys are. And then there's the alleged owners, right? And no, they're just the top echelon of the management structure, right? The banks, the governments. No, they are not. And there are no more governments. There is a corporate structure, and we don't have capitalism. What is capitalism? What is, the economists say capitalism is? It's when, I'm making a pair of sneakers and 5 other companies make a pair of sneakers and I come up with the best sneaker and I succeed, right? That's not how it works. We live in a corporate structure, corporate, not capital. And corporate is power, right? And Happy New Year. Yep. Hey there, research. Hope you're feeling good. And so here it is, just a few first hours, and I'm, enjoying a nice morsel, and I'm basically setting up for tonight's chat, right? Because in the evenings it's quieter, not always, because everybody's all over the planet, but we focus on a more deeper point of view, and I'm setting this up to look at, what does our world run on? What are what's their primary strategy? Well, if you go look at David Icke's work, his basic thing, he says, is that it's run on problem, action, solution, right? And so December 7th, just a few weeks ago, was the day back in 41 when the Japanese allegedly attacked Pearl Harbor, right? And, no, we forced Japan to attack Pearl Harbor because we were stepping into their playground and forcing them. We first made them an industrial society after the Civil War, and then and they have no resources, and then we stopped giving them oil. We just cut them off. And they were already this big, what are they going to do? Let their people starve? No. So, they turned their industrial might into a military might, and then went and did what the Europeans did, conquered the inferior races, in their neighborhood, China, Korea, Southeast Asia, you know, and then and we let them do it. We let them do it without any kind of anything, right? And we forced them, then we stepped up, got right in their face, right? After like let them go, let them go, let them go. Very similar to what happened with Saddam Hussein in Iraq, meaning when Iraq was fighting Iran, we sold him all his weapons, the Europeans and the United States. We knew every kind of weapon he had, you know, and we had all the spare parts, if he didn't, it's just like the Iranians. They were the same boat, when the Shah was our buddy, or we put him in power, we sold him all his weapons, all his F4s. You know, soon as we pulled the plug on the Shah, we stopped sending the subcontractors and the spare parts, and bingo, he didn't have an Air Force, he didn't have a Navy. So this is a well-oiled machine, and this corporate structure has been around since Babylon. The Babylon bankers, right? So what I want you to realize, you should go look at a thing called a document called Silent Weapons for Quiet War, right? And you can go call up area code 707-586-9958, and that's kind of a very interesting publishing company that gives you the opportunity to access, you know, information that's not out there in the public arena. And if you've never read William Cooper's book, Behold the Pale Horse, you should go read that. And yep. So, when you start deconstructing all of this mess, it's like, oh my God, how am I going to? Oh, I'm just going to take drugs and become obese. And that's what I did. Not drugs, but obese, when I said, screw it. I've been, studying this for 30 years. I've been, trying every which way I can to wake people up. And, what do I got to show for it? Well, I had a lot to show for it. I touched a lot of people's lives. But I was being a little focused. Me. And I got the opportunity to work for the Desperate Lawyers, make a lot of money, live in the Chocolate Mousse Motel, and, became obese, got really sick, and the universe wouldn't let me die. So I had to lose the 275 pounds. I have to live every day with the things that are wrong with me. And they are my little reminders. It's like, pain is almost a gift. It kind of makes you, okay. Every morning I wake up, I really feel terrible, and I have to meditate. And that's because the key to, the revelations of understanding the universe is to meditate. That's our tool. That's our doorway. That's what gets us out of the avatar, of the meat puppet, out of the avatar of the ugly bag of water. So once you realize that this material world is an illusion, then you can go, well, okay, I can navigate this. I can actually, do stuff that makes me feel good, that makes me help others, that gives relevance and importance to my life. And exactly. And then we justify, well, if I get on the inside, well, then I can make some changes, blah, blah, blah. And again, your Sensei Al Bob, anybody comes in contact with him, pretty much these eyebrows do the trick. And, I either change them in a positive way or drive them off the cliff into total insanity and negativeness, but just for the moment. As soon as the eyebrows go out of the way, they kind of cool down. So, So, and I've been working on this idea of an alternative aesthetic for a long time. And in this material world, really the only thing we can do is create through love's co-creation, because that's the only thing that exists in reality. All else is an illusion. Oh, let's see. I'll just sit up a little bit, stretch my back. And when you kind of, you don't slouch, you don't do all these things that cut off the blood flow, that cut off the electric current of your vagus nerve, you get better. And these are the kind of things. And the other thing is to, it's like anything the corporate world gives you, right? Like, no child left behind. That means every child's left behind. In 1984, Winston worked in the Ministry of Truth, meaning the place where they totally lied and built propaganda, right? And he worked on it his whole life until certain things kind of came across, which he knew was wrong. But now it was the opposite, and it changed in minutes right in front of us. And it was like, and he's looking around, and that's where we are every day. So, but we get to navigate this. We get to choose. We don't have to say, oh, mommy and daddy made me do this. Oh, there are all those people who hate me. Blah, 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 blah. No, you don't have to go there, because that's an illusion. You can navigate you can choose, right? Now, you have to realize you can choose a direction, but the wind blows a little this way, so you got to turn the tiller that way. You got to do this. But you don't drop anchor and get stuck in the same place for the last 40 years. No, something happened to you when you were 6. Take a look at what it is and move on. And I was very lucky. And I still am, in the fact that I'm blessed and I am naive. Meaning, I've seen a lot of stuff, so I have a lot of experience. But I'm like Ronald Reagan. Trust but verify. So I trust everybody, I think everyone basically is good. Go north. Trim them down and make an art pencil. Well, if I were to ever trim them down, that's what I would use them for. But you know what happens when I cut them? They get bushier. My buddy who's a barber who cuts my hair twice a year, it's pretty easy. All I do is like cut it real close and then let it grow. And, when my beard is like this, like, a bush, he trims it down to this. And it, stays like this for a good 5-6 months. And then for some reason it starts to like, woo. And then I go visit him. And he's a great guy. Anyway, first time he ever did this to me, he like, without asking me, went, I said, what'd you do that for? And he goes, well, that's just ridiculous. Anyway, 6 months I went, and they were like 5 times bushier than they was when he started. And he said, how did that happen? I said, well, every time you cut them, they grow back twice as. He said, well, I guess I can't cut them anymore. So, that's life. You have to navigate. So people who do the same thing time after time after time after time. I fell in love with this girl, and then we had this beautiful time, and then she wanted to break up, and that was 28 years ago, and I still text her 40 times a day and send her, and she, got me arrested for harassment. No, that's like, no. You move on, right? And if you find someone who's really good, you don't do anything to mess them up. There are all these guys who like, girls, why do I want to be with a woman, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's only because you're not with a woman. And then when they are, that bitch, she's always telling me what to do. Or the woman goes, oh, that moron, blah, blah. Well, they, guys, remember, we're all bitches and morons, But if that person makes you feel special, if that person does it for you, well, then you should do everything in your ability to make them happy. Because if you make that person happy, they will make you happy. The women that I've been in my life with, I am with them just like my whole life, moment to moment. I don't make these big long plans. Yeah, we make plans for this, that, and the other. Oh, we're going to go do this. We're going to go have that. Blah blah blah. But no, I just exist in that moment of wanting to make them happy. And usually when you do that, you end up 10, 15, 20 years down the line still with them because it makes them happy. You know, my parents were married 78 years. My God. Ah! And they, you know, it was amazing they didn't kill each other. I mean, they just did this ugly dance. But why did they stay together? Because they each did it for each other, pretty much, you know. So that's where we're at. You know, we are surrounded by this monster of a corporate structure. You know, the unknowable they, that's built on a pyramid structure where we are at the very friggin' base, and we are what are, you know, there is the unknowables, there is the Illuminated rich, but they're in the managerial class. And that managerial class is like those guys in about 20 different layers. And then there's the worker drones and the guys who are doctors and lawyers and judges and politicians and all of that ilk who I'm a billionaire. No, sorry, you're a worker drone. You're not even in the managerial class. And then under the worker drones is the expendables. And that's like the 98% of the human race. That's why the Georgia Stone says they want the human race to go down to 500 million, because that's the managerial class and the top Illuminati. And the Illuminati is just a poster, you know. I just use that as everyone knows that term. But there's this higher, and they are not of this world, you know. They are not of this dimension, you know. They are insectoids, you know. The TV show and the movie Stargate, very good, you know. They had all these and all these guys who ran around in crazy clothes who looked like Egyptians, and they had this little creature inside them that kind of ruled them, and they were like a little worm, you know. They were a parasite. So the folk who run everything are basically parasites. And how can they control us? By separating us, making us live a life of fear and doubt. And the only thing that is a antidote to that is love's co-creation, right? And then the tool in this illusion world that works best, and that's why they've totally, you know, taking control of this, is aesthetics, is art, right? And so what does art become? It's become Hollywood. What is Hollywood? You know, the dark magician has a magic wand. What is that magic wand out of? Hollywood. Wood of a holly tree. Hollywood. And that's why they named Hollywood, because it is black magic to disrupt and distract and disorient the general public. And that Hollywood is everything. It's music, it's movies, it's TV, it's this internet. It's everything that's quote unquote entertainment, right? And it's probably the most powerful industry that corporate structure has. So folks who want to go in that industry have to be ready to sell their soul. And, you know, like Katy Perry is a good example. You know, she came from this, you know, totally lily white Christian ministry. You know, she was a Christian singer, right? And look where she is now. Look at, what's that girl, Hannah Montana, twerking. And she did it to her father. Ooh. And where did that guy come from? From country music. And where did, you know, you look at his background. Anyway, so we have to build an alternative aesthetic, right? And yet we have to do it right in their face, just like it's doing it right in our face. And not in a like, me too, Black Lives Matter. Whenever you do that, you basically play into the hands of the corporate structure. They're wanting you to do that. Look what happened at Katrina. Things went loose because problem, action, solution. Thing about most hurricanes is that you get a couple of days notice that this is going to happen, and the W powers that be said, "Oh, it's just a hurricane." Well, they knew it wasn't just a hurricane, and they beefed it up, they torqued it up, they seeded it, they juiced it, they did everything, and headed it straight for New Orleans, because what they wanted to do is break the back of the political structure there to do a paradigm shift. And that's what we're going through, paradigm shifts. 9/11 was a paradigm shift. Pearl Harbor was a paradigm shift. Sinking of the Lusitania and was a paradigm shift. These were all times when we went to war. The Maine. Paradigm shift. These are all paradigm shifts. Our revolution was a paradigm shift. The English did more to make that happen. I mean, they were the biggest army on the planet. They could have crushed us like an ant, but they wanted to do a paradigm shift because they wanted America to be their bitch. To fight every war for them, to do all the production that, and China is being made the Anglo-American bitch, so, and China doesn't even know this. They're being played like a fiddle. They are not, they have one aircraft carrier. They are not a military threat to us. They're not even a military threat to Japan. Japan has more nuclear reactors. They got more plutonium, stuck in the closet than anybody else. They're not considered a nuclear weapons. Israel's, oh yeah, they got nuclear. Japan could, kick out nuclear weapons like lollipops if they wanted to. I'm sure they got, a bunch of them in somebody's backyard. And they got delivery systems. They're putting things on the moon. They are, and, they got their connections in China and Korea, and what, like after World War II, when we were thinking that we were going to have to attack Japan, we sent our whole military might to Asia, right? And then after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that was it. But we had all these tanks and planes and bombers and everything in Asia. And what do we do with them? We sent them to China, and we sent them to Russia, and we sent them to Korea. So we could have wars there, and they would have weapons, so they could be a threat. Within the corporate structure, you have to realize this corporate structure is planetary. It's not nation states. There are no such thing as nation states. It hasn't been since Babylon, Anyway, so go find that thing, Silent Weapons for a Quiet War. That will, go read Bill Cooper's book, because it's kind of based on that. The first chapter is his deconstruction of that document. And he was a naval intelligence officer. And who is running, Silent Warden, the secret space program? The U.S. Navy. What do? They stuck the anti-gravity devices onto Polaris submarines in the early 50s, and put them out in space, because they were these they were like spaceships, but they were going underwater. And underwater is a way more violent environment than outer space. Right? And you don't have to worry about cosmic rays and Van Allen belt when you have an electrogravitic field around your ship, because nothing can penetrate it, right? And go look up T. Thomas Brown. Now there's the boy who really, he worked with Tesla, and he took see, the thing, Tesla was, he was like a cat, going like this. He had this amazing intelligence and psyche and a way to connect, to all the dimensions. And so he would go and see things, figure it out, and invent it. And oh, look at that. Then move on to the next. That's why he invented radio, radar, X-ray, dimensional physics, alternating current, you know, um, you know, free electricity for 0 point energy, right? All of these things, right? And he did it like in the 1870s, right? He created he put his equipment into the Chrysler building in the 30s, and that's why the Chrysler building is stainless steel. It's a Faraday cage, and all those gargoyle-y looking things sticking out the sides of the building are antennas. And he put an induction coil at the top and one at the bottom. There were no wires. That's why all the lights at the top of the building are neon, right? And so everything there were induction motors and neon lighting. And when you walked into a room, you changed the field of the room, the lights came on. You didn't even have to clap your hands. And then Mr. Morgan went to Mr. Chrysler and said, "Hey, Bob, that's really cool. Really, A, you got to test this shit. That's great. But two things. A, I own that shit. And B, if you persist in doing this as a commercial endeavor to show the world, hey, we should do this. Well, here, take a look at this envelope. Look at those pictures. There's you having sex with a donkey and a dog and, everything else unbelievably nasty. Very similar to this whole pedophile ring. And all that is powerful people using children in satanic ceremonies. That's how they get their power, And that's where they get their organs. And that's where, my father, in the last years of his life, he had things wrong with him that you couldn't fix with pharmaceuticals. You couldn't fix with an operation or radiation or any of that. What they could do was every month they would empty his blood out, and they didn't put it through a machine. They gave him new young people blood. And he was good to go. He was like, when we do the meditation and, we energize ourselves through our Akashic record via putting the prana into our body and grounding ourselves. That's like a Tesla field, That's why I'm alive. That's why I can walk around, My podiatrist was amazed. He goes, you got no bones connecting your foot to your ankle. How can you walk? Meaning, before then, I had these big metal braces and I had a walker. That's how I walked. But then they said, oh, we're going to have to cut your legs off because the muscles in your legs are atrophying because, you're not really using them. And I said, okay, I'll get rid of the clamps and stop using it. Well, you won't be able to. The pain will be unbelievable. And, there's nothing connecting your foot to your ankle. So, one wrong step and you'll snap it off, right? So if you guys have seen me walk in John's videos, you'll see me walking kind of very determined where I'm watching where I'm putting and how I'm putting every foot down, and that's so my foot won't snap off. And I do wear a little brace, a little like ace bandage on both feet. So if I did turn my leg, it wouldn't snap off, But the majority of the thing that keeps me alive is that I meditate many times a day because I can go to state like that. Here, I'll show you. I'm reaching out to you right now. I'm energizing all of you with the prana and chi. I am going straight to you through this digital device, and I am doing something that most people don't do or think they can do, and that is be shamanic. Most people have to sit around the fire. The fire is this little screen here. It's my little phone. That's the fire. And I visualized it, put it in state, and there it is, Someone told me this is the crappiest phone you can have. You should get rid of it. Buy one of ours, right? Yeah, it has its limitations, but I have shamanically tuned it up. So that's why it works pretty good for me. And I'm trying, you know, adepts, you're part of the cadre here of Sensei Al Bob. And, it's like the Marines. The few, the, the fun love, the happy. We are the pebbles in the pond making the spiritual tsunami. Martin said that. Right, Martin? Right? You're there, Martin, aren't you? You're somewhere along. I thought I saw your name here. Hey, S2, how you doing? Make a pencil. Yeah, so gotta run. Okay, baby. Research. I'll give you a buzz later. Okay. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, Marshall, going barefoot. I'll have to write that. Awakened Brave. I'll check it out. I'll check it out before tonight and talk about it. Awakened Brave. Okay, I'll check that out. Yes, feeling the expanded. Difficult to put in words because words, I mean, that's why I'm so careful about the words I use because, spelling is a spell, right? Words, after the Tower of Babel, we all were telepathic before then. I love nutmeg, but usually in a soup. That's one of those secrets I put in my stews is a little nutmeg and cinnamon. And Uncle Fug Nuts, when you're off in the nutmeg reality, just visualize me, and I'd love to hang out. I don't have to do the nutmeg as long as you're doing it. Just kind of, put that little thought, and I'll be there. Okay? Yep. And we're not even that. We are telephonic. We need a device. Okay, buddy. 33 minutes and 5 seconds. So I kind of laid down what I'm thinking about this morning, and it's getting time for me to go to my friend's brunch, and so I just wanted to touch base with you guys. I love you, and I'll see you tonight, 7 p.m., thereabouts. Last night I was a little late, like it was about 7:15, 7:19, because I made John and me a really great New Year's meal, and I waited an hour for him to come down and share it. But so then I noticed, oh, look, it's 10 after 7. Got to go, so I went and did that. So anyway, love you guys. Stay well. And anybody who wants to send me a gratuity, the Western Union thing really works. Just, Al, Martino, and, send it to Roanoke, and then go on the Judah Wake 42 at Gmail and give me the tracking number because I need that to get it, and I appreciate anything you can help because I'm living on pennies here, but I'm living like a millionaire. And I have to thank one of the cadre who sent me some drachma New Year's Day. It enabled me to pay off or pay down a really good brother who's a mechanic, fixed my car. He knew I had to drive in it, so he didn't. So go drive it, pay me when you can. And I've been giving him 5, 10, 20, 30, 40. So I was able to give him a nice bit, the biggest chunk I've been able to give them so far. And that's how I live. People are actually that generous and nice, and everyone is, if they just let them be generous and nice. Okay, I love you. Catch you later. Boop, 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 boop.